the Pondcast, the destination for insightful discussions and interviews on the appreciation, conservation, and husbandry of reptiles, with a focus on turtles and tortoises. Now, let's join our team of turtle nerds.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Pondcast. We are here tonight. Sans Cristione. Is it Sans or Sans?
I'd say Sans.
Okay, Sans Cristione. He's not here, but we are. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We had some technical difficulties. I actually ripped the wire in half that comes into my house with internet. And they're telling me that I'm paused right now. Terrific. But you can hear me though, right? So that's okay.
Can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, as long as you can hear me, that's fine. Just stare at the beautiful photo of me looking very concerned and stern as well.
Mugshot.
Yeah, so welcome. This is an audio show. Okay, let's not forget that. So we're here with Kevin Minto. Say hi, Kev.
Hey guys and girls,
Kev,
everybody.
Kev, you missed the last show, right? I'm not forgetting that.
One of the last ones. I don't know if it was the last one or the one prior.
Okay, well, he missed one of the recent shows, so he's here. So all you ladies who were concerned that maybe Kev wouldn't be here, he's here tonight. So we're really excited about that. And Steve is pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Steve's here with us as well. And without further ado, our esteemed guest and somebody who we're really excited to talk to tonight is our guest, Mr. Charlie Moorcroft. So welcome, Charlie.
Hi, guys.
Oh, I've got a cool pause going on. Look at that. Can you see that?
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
That's your kid just did something wrong face.
It is. Yeah. It looks like all distorted, like computer. Can you see that? Like digital. It looks like digital art of some kind. No?
Little furrowed brow. That might be the pixelation from your internet connection.
You're not seeing what I'm seeing. No, it's not even pixelation. It's something crazy cool. Someone else sees it. You know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then you think I'm crazy. Fine too. That's okay. You're not alone. You're not alone. So we're excited to talk to Charlie tonight. Hopefully the audio version of this works out okay. But Charlie, you are like, I don't even know what. You're like one of those up and comers in this world. You've been around the animal world for a really long time, really well respected, really well respected, but kind of have been like really hot topic of conversation in recent months and in like the past year. So not to, talk about something that you obviously probably don't want to or anything because you're super modest, but what's it like to be everyone's favorite person to email now out of the blue?
I think I'm any different. Nothing's changed for me. I wouldn't say I'm any different at all, and I wouldn't say I get any more attention or emails or anything.
That's a lie.
My life's the same, really. It is. It's the same.
That's a lie.
I still rely on you. I still live my life. Nothing's really different.
I keep seeing you on the other YouTube channels, so.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'm just going to turn my video off. Okay, let's see how this works. All right, well, eventually I will. So it's so funny because, like, you and I have been really close friends for a long time. And, like, I'll talk to people all the time about, like, who my people are. Like, Kevin Pollack is somebody who's a really close friend of mine, but people don't know. You were like that for a long time. It was like, oh, yeah, my friend Charlie, blah, blah, blah. Now I have people that I don't even know, like, oh, man, have you seen this guy Charlie Moorcroft's place? It's really cool. It's really funny now, like, how that's changed in the last year. I don't know. I just wanted to tell you that.
Let's back up a little bit. You were supposed to be the one that came down and filmed first, and obviously COVID made that not possible. And I get along with you so well. I'm so comfortable with you. That's actually why I would even do this show. I don't really like videos. I don't like how I sound, any of that stuff. At work, I'm a horse trainer by nature and pretty confident, pretty direct, very comfortable in my own skin at work. But to take on this project was something that was very different. And it was important to me that to kind of get it out there, I went with someone I knew, and you were obviously the first choice. When that didn't happen, because your wife was smarter than maybe you and I at that moment, Greg seemed to be the next obvious person to go to. I really like how he produced things. He's a videographer by nature. So it just was a natural choice to get him to come down and look around. I kind of baited him a little bit. I sent him clips and photos and, kind of wasn't a stalker, but pretty close. And then he came down and put together what I thought was a really great video. And that really is what did it. The place is a combination of friends, and years of experience and things I've learned from either forums or more recently Facebook, now that forums are kind of gone, traveling to Ralph Till's, Mark McCarthy, people that have been doing it longer and doing it better. I wanted to, and you certainly take it and do what you guys did and kind of follow your lead, but definitely make it my own, if that makes any sense.
I think it doesn't just make a little sense, like it makes all the sense in the world. I think that's so cool. I think most people would probably say, they've taken a little bit from the people who have kind of mentored them or have been there right with them, like along the way. Like I can look in my setup and I see a little bit of Kevin Minto, I see a little bit of Charlie, I see a little bit of Bill McCord, I see a little bit of Steve Enders, I see a little bit of a lot of different people in there, depending on like what angle I'm looking at it at a given time. So when I've heard you say that in the past, it's really like spoken to me a lot. So I think that's really cool.
I'll back up a little bit again. My training job with horses is pretty intense. We live in Wellington, Florida. It's the winter equestrian capital of the world. During the winter months, when the weather here is perfect, so many people come from all over the country and even all over the world to compete. Really turned upside down. And then in the summer, things get a little bit slower. And as I've gotten a little bit older and accomplished a lot of my goals in the equestrian field, I wanted to do something different and give back. I love educating. I was raised as a kid to be an educator. My mother was a teacher. We were taught to give back, to educate, to get involved. That children are our future. That sounds so cliche, but it really is. So I wanted to, as I was experiencing a little bit of fatigue and burnout in the horse world, I wanted to go crazy in the kind of captive wildlife conservation, preservation direction. And I remember calling you, having conversation that I was going to buy this thing called Lion Country Safari, which is a safari park that you drove through. And I remember talking to you, and we spent a little bit of time with some people that knew the facility, knew the park. I talked to actually some money people about doing it and realized that just wasn't an option. I talked to Mark McCarthy very briefly about possibly buying his facility. All that really means is that it came down to, we decided to keep staying where we are, living where we are, and using this facility, which is our private house, to do as best we can with the animals and their care, use this collection, which you and so many others have helped me acquire, and use it to get people's feet wet, get them through the doors. It's not a public facility. There's no admission. There's nothing like that. It's really just a conversation, and to get them in, looking around, holding different endangered animals, and leave here asking more questions of their parents, wanting to go to really better facilities like the Bush Wildlife, the McCarthy's. There's so many great ones around. And then also raising money to fund organizations that we like and trust, like you guys. We've raised a pretty good amount of money, and we've given away a pretty good amount of money. And some people have written to us to ask for some financial support. Other people I've kind of Googled and searched and really done some homework, making sure that they were, something that we can stand behind. So it's become, a cool foundation, a cool, kiddie pool to dip your toe in the world of conservation. It's become really cool for amazing keepers that are more experienced than me to come and see animals that they've never seen, and talk about it. And, it's something I'm really enjoying doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
absolutely awesome.
you have a different approach to things too, Charlie, as well, which I think in my mind, you and Ralph are the people that really stand out to me, Ralph Till, as people who, in terms of just the keeping, like if we're taking like the extracurriculars, like your foundation out of it, and just you as a keeper, you have a philosophy that a lot of people don't, which is like smaller animals, less animals, but do it the right way, which I think gets lost a little bit. Because if I'm being totally fair, I think there's a big movement in like reptile keeping in general with animal welfare, which is so important, right? We all have to think about just what we're doing for the animals. Are they having their best life? You know, is this the best species for my climate? Like that sort of thing. And like take the ego and like the Pokemon mentality of wanting to catch them and keep them all, taking that out of it. And I think there are a lot of people on the like snake side and the lizard side and the gecko side and all that who really advocate for that, because they're advocating against like snake racks and things that are really popular in herpetoculture. On the turtle side, there's a real pressure to hatch what you can hatch, because turtles are being exploited from the wild and there's not enough of them to go around, and any turtle that you can hatch in theory is less pressure on the wild population, right? So there's not a lot of people who are really advocating like keeping less, doing it the right way, keeping animals separately, like things like that. And that's something that I think, in my mind, people have been really impressed with you for, because they see your facility, they see what you put into it and how beautiful and spacious and clean everything is. So I guess that's not a question, but more just like kudos to you. You've created something really beautiful that a lot of people can really try to emulate.
Well, thanks. It's a work in progress. I like it. It's a little bit my sanctuary also. I like the smaller species. I like the stories that go with them. And I also kind of read people and what they're interested in. I know you're going to beat me up for this, but I did have some Pyxis. And I sent them to Ralph, who I thought would do a better job with them, and he sent me some pancake tortoises. And if you were to look at dollars and cents, that didn't really make any sense. But for Ralph and for me, it wasn't really about that. It was about kind of the flow of my story and what we were doing. And, Pyxis got in my head and intimidated me a little bit. And honestly, some of the people that came in off the street, not off the street, they're friends and customers and clients and extended families. They would look at, for instance, a Florida box turtle and see that. And then I would go, okay, and this is from Madagascar, this is spider tortoise. And they'll say, oh, it looks like a Florida box turtle. So I'm like, okay, Ralph, here you go. The pancake tortoises are just interesting to me. So I think Russ really touched on that on a program I listened to when he said, kind of keep it small, keep it interesting, do what you can do with as many as you can. Animals of one species, not get so spread out. And for sure, Ralph has helped me with that, and a lot of other keepers. So that's kind of made it a little bit easier to listen to my gut and take care of what I really know I can do well and what I enjoy, and not get caught up in the value of the animals. And, I've had unsolicited advice about every cage is real estate and you could probably do X, Y, and Z and make more money. But it really isn't about that. It's about the story and about representing as many different species that I can do well, and not just going with numbers.
Awesome.
So
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You're good. As your organization grows, right? Do you plan to expand and actually maybe have like a team of people that are taking care of the animals that are helping you?
Well, what's interesting, we have a board, and I don't consider this, I say facility, but it's really our house. I don't necessarily consider that the foundation as a destination. I think the foundation is more just an idea. It's definitely a group, it's an organization, but it's not a facility. And we're getting into a little bit more of the equestrian world. We've given some money to the wild horses, which are starting to get more heavily exploited, some rare breeds. We'd like to increase the board really slowly and carefully, and branch out. If another person on the board has a farm and has some extra room and wants to add some livestock that need attention also, I'd like to look at that. So it doesn't kind of start and end in this room or at this yard. It's larger than that, and it's really, it can be as big as anyone wants it to be.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be, a big facility and a big thing and a public thing, and that's already being done here. And I thought I could do it differently. We have added. I know I talked. We did add 3 rescue skunks, which are not conservation animals at all or preservation. They're true stories, ambassadors about care. 2 were fired from their jobs when COVID hit. And another one just, is a reminder that skunks don't always make great pets. So there's other species here as well that are just part of the story. If you wanted an exotic animal, here's how I would recommend doing it. So it's larger than just this room.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. One thing that I always thought was fascinating is, and a lot with conservation, like you're just saying, is like, do you think this would be a great exotic animal for you? But like when you're walking through your yard, and a lot of turtles, they are very, very exotic animals. They're not something you're going to see around here at all. So do you think anyone would get kind of like confused with that message? Like, hey, these are not the greatest things, but I have so many of them.
As far as, I'm not sure I follow.
So like if you're having visitors to the house, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying with the teaching aspect, part of this is like, hey, if you're looking for an exotic animal, maybe they're not the best pets kind of thing, but you have so many of them at the place,
Yeah, it's a complicated story, because I'll say these little mud turtles, for instance, which this is an Everglades locale, and that these make great pets. And, they might look at me sideways like, well, this is conservation. Well, obviously keeping turtles that are not endangered, that make great pets, isn't a problem. I mean, we would all want to do that. And I use those as examples versus maybe sulcatas or versus, red-eared sliders or things that get too big and smell and, don't really make any sense and now are illegal here. So it's all part of the story, and maybe what direction you would talk to a certain age group. And I get a vibe right away when people come in, if this is they want to just whip through and go hold skunks, or if they want to really understand countries, continents, climates, why we wash our hands so much in between. So you one thing I've learned is to kind of read and try and give them what they're looking for, and then kind of jam my story in the cracks as much as possible.
Okay, awesome. And can you take us through like just essentially your earlier story? Like, how did you get started in this essentially? Because a lot of people may not know you're from Connecticut originally, right?
I'm definitely from Connecticut, and you guys are still sucking it up there. Anyway, I luckily got out of Connecticut. I've been in South Florida for about 15 years and lived all over the country. I grew up normal family, lots of kids, Catholic school upbringing, pretty structured, pretty tough, great parents, but pretty tough. And we were not allowed to have animals in the house. So it was outdoor rabbits, chickens, I had goats. We had a tiny piece of property, but adjacent to it was a neighbor who was kind enough, basically said, if you join 4-H or if you join different organizations, then you can have some of your animals here and help, trade off some labor. So that was a real great experience. When we would vacation, it always involved a lake or a river or brooks. We would go get a cottage. I remember going to Vermont. I'd tell people, and instead of fishing, I dug up on the beach and found some snapping turtle eggs, which I promptly brought home to Connecticut and dried them out in the basement with no water. And then learned the next time I went to Vermont that I could find more and use them. I went to the library, rode my bike, and learned how to do that better. Learned how to hatch them. So of course, I Vermont snapping turtles and released them in Connecticut into the Connecticut River, actually, not knowing any different. So there was always that, in a canoe looking for painted turtles, outdoors working with animals. And then, a little bit of college, lots of traveling. The equestrian world is really a challenge to have animals that require any type of routine. You live like gypsies, you live on the road. I've lived all over the country, East Coast mostly. And not until I moved to Florida, where you literally can put a spider plant outside and it lives forever, and you realize what can live here, and you stumble upon people like the Fred Grunwalds of the world and others that have amazing collections and have been doing it for so long, and you just kind of have so many more options. So I thought I would just slowly went on the forum, and I met Anthony and met a couple of local people with cherry heads, and I did a lot of research and realized that cherry heads would probably be the best thing for me at that point, and just started slow with those, and it just kind of snowballed and escalated since then. So
Yeah.
It's been so easy to do, really. I have a decent job. People are like, oh, you have a lot of money. I don't really, I just work really, really hard, and I don't have any help. I keep it clean myself. I get up early, I stay up late. I like doing it. I'll put, a podcast on or YouTube and just kind of do my thing in this room. So I clean it a lot before someone comes, but it's not always like that. The animals are cared for, but you get it ready for visitors. So
Sure,
when Greg came to film, I was crazy, like washing glass and, all that stuff. And we wanted it to translate really well into video.
Of course. Absolutely. How much time do you think you spend a week, like, maintaining your facility there?
I'd say an hour in the morning, hour. And then, if someone's really coming, but I don't know how much time. I mean, I kind of just putter around, I do water changes with fish tanks or repot plants or, change substrate. So I do it. It's a little bit therapeutic. So I don't really know. I don't really clock in or clock out. The actual care, if I'm in a hurry and if there's a horse show starting at, if I have to be on an animal that I need to ride at 7 a.m, I know I can crunch it out in 20 minutes in the morning, and then catch it up later. But, I put as much time into it as I can because I like it.
Okay, awesome. Do you have a favorite animal in there, like, that you personally find that you're watching more often than others?
Good question.
It changes. I would say, yeah, for sure. I think you're drawn to different things at different times for different reasons. It's kind of a non-answer. I have this ridiculous looking cherry head named Martha. And when I first had the pleasure to meet her, she was living at a friend's house. And I kept looking at her thinking, that's just the craziest looking thing. And finally, that person said to me, I know you want to do foundation. I'm going to give you Martha. She's going to be the one when the hurricanes come. She's going to be the first one in your car. And sure enough, I drove a Mini Cooper at that point. And we loaded up 40-something horses and birds and all these crazy animals. And in the back of my Mini Cooper was Martha. And so I think she's always my favorite. She's a lot of people's favorite just because she was found walking down the side of the road. And, South Florida is crazy. It's like its own country. It's its own world. And you can find a cherry head walking down the side of the busy road that was treated terribly. I'm sure someone just tried to dump it in a canal.
Yeah.
So I would say if I had to pick one, if this place was on fire, God forbid, and I grab one, it'd probably be her first, but she's outside. So
sure. Okay.
I love the Spangler eye. Those are characters, their eyes, their movement, the prey drive, the ease of care, stuff like that. They're my go-tos. But I have a crazy snapping turtle. I figured you'd like that. I have a crazy snapping turtle that Fred Grunwald gave me that the mother was hit by a car, and someone opened her up and took the eggs, and this one hatched. And I sent a couple to Greg and kept one. And I really like that animal. It's no part of conservation, but it's a story, and also a good example of what pet you probably wouldn't want indoors. And I scared him off.
Sorry, guys.
I finally shut up, so you came back.
I really like what you're saying, Charlie. Guys, let me know if you can't hear me. Just interrupt me, but I'm out by my pond now. I actually like this a lot better. I'm going to turn my video off from now on and just go and do whatever I want. I could pick my nose. This is like the best thing ever.
You can pick your nose on air. I don't care.
No, I know. I try not to. I'm not saying I never have. I try not to. But Charlie, I love what you're saying about a story. Right. We talk about this stuff all the time. I love Charlie's one of my favorite people in the world to talk to. And we have really good talks about this sort of thing. I love the idea of the animals having a story, especially if you're in education, right? Because it's about finding things that are going to pull people in. I think if I think back to my most exciting and most memorable days in this world, I don't like to call it a hobby, but in this world, it was when I was looking for stories or projects that I could like write about, and I was doing my most writing. I think for you, you're looking at projects that when you have a group of young people coming by to see the animals, like what speaks to them the most. And I think that that's really admirable, and I think like it excites me because I know what that means, so kudos on that. I also wanted to go back to you a couple times said you wanted to let's just backtrack for a second. So if you let me backtrack for a second. Sure. You were talking about Lion Country Safari and McCarthy's Wildlife Center and all the kind of thoughts that were going on and the things that we were kicking back and forth and things that you were considering a lot. And I'll be honest, when you first started to talk about what you are doing now, I didn't necessarily see the vision clearly until now. I've been able to see what you've built. And I mean, everything down to like the white logos, like the white shirt with the green logo, like everything has come together in such a way that's so sophisticated. It's just you. It's beautiful. It's a perfect representation of who you are. And it's so different than what we're used to. Like, I don't know, black Slipknot t-shirts at the reptile show. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just it's a totally different vibe.
I'm just a different guy. I'm definitely not for everyone, but I'm in a t-shirt. I don't care. I don't wear Crocs, I'll tell you that right now. But t-shirt, shorts, I mean, it's all good,
I wear Crocs. What's wrong with Crocs?
I know. I could tell you wear Crocs.
It's all the only thing that fits them,
What does that mean?
Exactly.
I was just excited that Crocs came in my size, so I bought them. I buy anything that comes in my size.
Cardboard boxes come in your size.
And
the
I've
logo
worn
was
them
fun.
before.
You knew this story. We kind of did some kind of contest online where you pay a little bit of money and 50 artists kind of work on it, and then you kind of give them feedback. So that was, I moved the cord again. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it out of it. So it was kind of fun. That just kind of happened. I know, Anthony, maybe people don't know this. You drew the most amazing spotted turtle, and I still have it. I'm not sure what we're going to do with it, but that didn't end up being the logo. We just wanted something straight and balanced and whatever. But the logo came out really great. And it's Florida. I wear white shirts all the time. It's hot. I have a lot of them. So it's kind of like my uniform. So it was easy just to put a little green logo on that and just go on with it. I'll tell you a funny story about the hats, though. We did have one of our friends decide to donate hats. So I think she got 300 hats. And on the back, it said Moorcroft Conservation Foundation. And we didn't know this. So to my friends on the right, to my friends on the left, I'm kind of in the middle. I apologize, but we did give away a lot of hats that said Morecroft Conservation Foundation until she saw it and kind of nicely freaked out and was like, "Did you know there was a typo?" No, we didn't even look. So all these people were walking around these hats. So I know I owe you guys merch, but we had to kind of reorder and revamp that. But I'll send some stuff out to you guys.
That is hilarious. I had no idea.
I didn't really pass that around.
Oh my gosh. And of all the terms too, because and again, not saying either side, it was just like, it's so politically charged and it's like the last thing you want to be doing. Oh, it's just anything on either side. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's like, what was it when Larry David wore like a MAGA hat, so like no one was sitting near him in a restaurant? And
I like that.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Depending on where you're eating, there's an animal hospital up here called Snowflake Animal Hospital, and it's in your area actually, Kevin. And it just makes me laugh every time. Like obviously they'd been there for a while, but it's just like out of nowhere one day because of politics, it just became this hugely negative term. And they called really angry yelling at us at one point because of something that happened, and it's like, you got a call from Snowflake Animal Hospital again, yelling at you about whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, you can't even make this stuff up. It's like, should be in a sitcom. Anyway, Steve is sneezing in the background. Nobody can hear it except us. They don't know what type of professionals we are.
So Charlie, your organization's already like donated a lot of money to a lot of organizations that needed help with everything and just things you wanted to benefit. Has there been one that really stood out to you so far? Like somebody's message, somebody's platform that you really thought was beneficial and it'd be a good time to talk about as well?
I'd say everyone. I mean, I want to support you guys. We gave a little bit of money, then we're able to give a little bit more. I think it feels good every time, So I wouldn't think that one hasn't really come yet. I'm so familiar with you guys, so it's hard for me to say like that was the best feeling to give money to you.
Yeah.
But I think that moment will come, and that will be kind of a great story down the road. I'd like people to apply, whether it's I'm huge about education and kids. I'd like people to come to us with ideas and say, here's what I'm thinking. I'd like to travel or do whatever, or help out or start this program. I think that's awesome. I love listening to Anthony when he talks about schools and having schools, high schools or whatever age, setting up animal care as part of their programs. I think that's awesome. So I think more of that will come, but nothing. You look at organizations and you look at bank account and there's 37 million in there. It's a no for us. We're not going to give money to that unless they're spending 38 million, which usually they're not. So there's nothing wrong with having an endowment. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of money, but and the other thing we wanted to do was not have a lot of administrative fees. The money we bring in does not get used to. We don't spend it on keeping these animals. I do that. If people want to, here's $20 or whatever for whatever. I'm going to take it. But that's not the point. People don't come here to fund what we have here. This is my collection. I would be doing this anyway. I really want to. This is a conversation piece, and then the money part is a little bit separate. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. This is you can show people like your personal interest with this, and then it leads into like what you want to do on a grander scale with other organizations.
Yeah, yesterday I had friends visit, and they brought another friend with a macaw. Actually, it needed a home, so another friend came and picked up the macaw. But the girl that owned the macaw, which was in really bad shape and needed to go to a new spot, not their fault, they got it that way. The girl went home and told her mother that she wanted to grow up and have everything I had. Like, I want to have those animals, and I want to, I gave her a hat, and she didn't take the hat off all night. So to me, that's really cool. And that girl actually volunteers at Bush Wildlife already and is really involved. And her mother does children's books. So there's some conversation there to maybe get into, having one of the animals here star in a book or something, which would be cool.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
That's incredible. How old was this girl?
I would say she was 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
That range.
That's what I was thinking, younger at first, and then you were saying volunteering at Bush Wildlife. Like, okay, how? Then I was thinking
she's 2.
Teens. That's really awesome. Very,
well,
very
I like that. I mean, you guys. I know Chris isn't here, but you guys each have 2 daughters. So really, I want the world to be a better place for not just the animals, but for them also. I want there to be programs for them. I want when they watch this program that we're doing right now in 5 years, if they're interested, that they got something out of it. So it was important to me to kind of bring a different perspective and, touch on education and the journey that little kids coming through here, when they get peed on by a turtle. And I'm like, well, who cares? If that was getting in someone's mouth, they'd probably pee so you wouldn't eat them. And there's a sink right over there. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, fine. It's just interesting to watch children change. And that's what I like about the horses. I don't know if I touched on that. I want to win every class we go in. I'm definitely a competitor, but equally as important, I want riders that become better humans through the sport of riding with education, not conservation, tradition and responsibility and, overcoming fear and personal struggles and teamwork. The way we choose to do our sport is a little bit different. And I also start riders way younger than most people would. Most people would never want to do what I do. We also work out of a facility that has a 15-acre man-made, they call it a lake, but it's really a pond, Florida. As everyone knows, people say it's a swamp. I think of it as a sandbar. And they took out 15 acres worth of material and built up a neighborhood. So they put a riding track around it. And in that are alligators, birds, all sorts of cool stuff. So we'll ride out oftentimes because the kids are sick of staying in a ring and I'm sick of looking at them in the ring. And we'll talk about, birds, turtles, alligators, family units and alligators versus turtles, the crows eating the turtle eggs. So there's so many stories there that the kids can learn and experience and just think out of the box. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
You send us videos all the time. No, the show's always off track. It doesn't matter. You always send us videos of like when you're out riding horses with the kids, like a big Florida sawshell running across, or the alligator popping out, and it's amazing that you get to just see that on day by day basis, let alone talk about it with your your clientele.
Yeah, I'm so fortunate to live where we do and be around so many cool people. There's obviously a lot of people that aren't so cool down here and doing crazy things with millions of views on YouTube. But I choose to hang with the people I like and respect and just kind of make a small difference. And it's sad to me that when you look at some of those YouTuber guys, the crazy volume of interest and views and money that just goes, to them for really no reason, when a lot of it, as we know, is staged and fake and it's all hype. And then you have friends, that are really doing an amazing job that it's just not interesting to the younger generation. So I'm aware of that. And I'm trying to make what I do interesting to them without any of the hype and nonsense, and nothing is staged.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to call Greg staged and all hype. Like Greg's a good guy.
I'm not calling Greg staged.
Dude, Greg's totally staged.
Classic.
My favorite part of Greg, when you watch his videos and he releases them, and he'll take a photo, he'll release it. I think it's great. He catches them, tells you kind of how they want to live. A lot of the habitats here, I'm worried that I want to do it as well. He gave me a little turtle that was produced at his house, and I want to make sure I do it as well. I might end up giving it back if I don't think I can do it as well as I think, he would want it. So I have no issue with Greg, and a lot of those guys. Don't bust on Greg.
No, I like that Greg's actually talking about, like he's saying things that are actually factual. Like there's so many times where I'm watching turtle related videos and I'm like, oh gosh, like there's at least there has to at least be 3 eye rolls per video, unless it's Chris or Greg. And I don't mean to be rude to anybody else, but that's just kind of how I feel. No offense, there's Kenan and Dan and others. Like Chris and Greg are the best at that. I'm not saying anything negative about anyone else. So I was just joking. But can I mention, Charlie, so today you hatched your first spotted turtles.
Today was a busy day. Today was a little crazy.
Today
I'm gonna
go ahead.
What you also don't know about me is I have a huge phobia of the dentist, and I had a dental appointment. They had to gas me. They gassed me so much I can't even feel my feet or hands, which I love. And honestly, what got me through it was, the only thing worse than my day at the dentist is not being good enough on the podcast tonight. So this program actually got me through the dentist beautifully. And I did come home to pancake tortoise laying an egg, which is great. First time for me. 2 spotted turtles had hatched this morning. I have some cherry head tortoises hatching, which I still love. Every time that happens, it's like Christmas. And I did have an Egyptian tortoise pass an egg without digging a hole, and it was broken, and there were 2 yolks in it. So it was kind of all in all, a lot going on in my world.
It's a big day. And what does that mean to you? Because I mean, like, you're a breeder and you're doing it for the educational value and because of conservation. That's the 5th endangered species that you've hatched, turtle tortoise species that you've hatched.
Stalker. I can't believe you know that.
I'm a huge fan of yours because I've been, keep track. There's certain friends we have that like, kind of look at you as like a newbie in certain ways on the breeding side, but it's more, I think, just because you like try to gather information when you get to these pivotal moments when eggs are laid or things are hatching or whatever. So you're just more open and you're not very like boastful at all. And yeah. So what does that mean to you, knowing that your other work isn't that the main focal point of your work isn't to breed a bunch of animals, but this has got to be like a nice added bonus, right?
Oh yeah. I think it's great. I'm excited. The spotted turtle enclosure we designed is terrible for people to watch them. You just can't see them. It's exactly how they would want it. They see us. I'll go out there quietly and I can spot them pretty easy. But most people who visit, they just think it looks like, plants and a swamp, which is perfect. But so it's nice to actually have some hatchlings, and I'll keep them inside in a tub and grow them up and be able to kind of share that with people when they come and actually see them. I mean, there's nothing cuter than baby turtles and tortoises. I mean, maybe there are to some people, but that really helps when I say these adults are all captive raised and bred, and these have now produced here, and here's two of the offspring. It's satisfying for me. It's also a great story. And I'm sure I could easily find home for those. The more we produce, as you guys know, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. The more we produce of those, the more, get to stay hopefully in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's
absolutely.
the idea.
Absolutely. So we want to go to our first segment here, our only segment really for the night. And we'll hit you with the mailbag.
Minto's Mailbag.
Okay, sorry. So first, before I actually ask any questions, I have a couple statements from people in the chat. First is from Matthew Hills, who wanted to let you know you look great on video. Don't be so hard on yourself. All right. And
Thanks,
then
man. Sorry, I left
Go
the
ahead.
and then we got your buddy Greg, the one you don't want us to pick on. He says that he loves you. And that was before you stood up for him. So
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He means it. And
He's really good guy, except for when he stages stuff.
Yeah, man. He just keeps releasing those alligator snappers and then finding them again. It's pretty ridiculous.
Staged. He keeps them in his trunk.
Yep. No. And the last one, I'm gonna mispronounce this, so I do apologize. But Sumiakwai. They're happy to see that there is a non-bearded man represented on the show and in the turtle community. So it's something that's been an ongoing thing here. So with that, we have a couple questions. So Derek asks, what is the turtle that started it all for you?
I'd say the cherry head started it here for me, but painted turtles, snapping turtles, all of them really. Okay. I'm so boring with those type of answers because it's not just one. It's the whole adventure and the journey. And I drive to work. I look at all the sliders and cooters, which is such a weird word, on the banks here basking. And that's interesting. I look at the Florida softshells crossing the road. I still look at everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
There wasn't one that changed it all for me. It's just part of, all little chunks of it.
Sure.
Gets back to your favorite one. I think that changes. It's like having a favorite kid, which if you do, don't answer.
Depends on the day. Same thing. So
see, it changes. That's fair.
Also from Derek, what is your secret for such a healthy, full head of hair? I'd like to know also.
I don't know, but I do get a lot of comments on my hair. And if it's a bald person that mentions my hair, like you might need a haircut or your hair's a mess, I sweat a lot. It's always standing up. It's a mess. I always say you're not really qualified to discuss hair. So I guess it's genes. I can thank my parents. I had clearly nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So I've never colored it. I've never dyed it. I've never done anything to it except it's intimidated a lot of barbers and hairdressers and stuff. I'm just like, it grows. Just cut it. Make it shorter before I leave. I don't care how I look. So,
yeah. Okay.
Kind of.
Then we have Terry Martins or Martens, I apologize. They made a very nice donation just before on the chat. But what is the smallest turtle that you have? Like the smallest turtle species you keep?
The smallest that I keep, it would probably be the Spangler eye. I've had some really tiny ones of those.
Yeah.
Would be
So for people that don't know, can you tell them what a Spangler eye is?
The black-breasted leaf turtle from basically Vietnam. They are a turtle, but they're terrestrial. They're like a tiny, cool, flat, leaf-shaped, aggressive. They're like the biggest personality in 3 to barely 4 inches, maybe. ET. It's interesting with that species when people come all the time and they're little, they'll watch me and they'll pay attention to me, but they're not that interested. But when a group of people come in, they just start walking on the glass because they know, okay, this is a crowd. This means worms. This means we're on display. They don't get worms unless people come. I try and make it as the diet as varied as possible. So worms are kind of a treat when people come. The guy at the gas station thinks I fish a lot. So I'm like, not really.
Okay.
So that's the other thing that I have. I don't know if I work with them yet. Is the mud turtles, the 3-stripe from the Everglades, which I think is cool. Again, that's not really a conservation thing. That's just a really weird, beautiful, tiny, interesting project.
It's like a blondish shell, right? The carapace.
They're blonde. They're green. They're a lot more detail in their head. They're really tiny. It's just I guess I'm into little. Everyone says you need a sulcata, you need a Galapagos, you need an Aldabra, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
We have 6 rescue dogs. We like yard. We like a little space. I couldn't imagine anything worse here. I love seeing them. I love visiting them. I think they're magnificent, but I don't want to be around it on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. I totally get it.
And I would argue that those are preservation or definitely preservation project because they're locale specific. So if anything ever happens to the population, actually knowing where something, like the area where something had originally come from,
that's
can
true.
be a good thing. Yeah, if people keep records and that sort of thing.
I didn't really start seeing those represented until in the hobby anyway until fairly recently, past a couple of years, right? Have you guys seen them for years and years?
Well, they're not representing I've never seen one for sale ever.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen a couple, but they're definitely just quickly wild caught animals.
Yeah, we have a friend here that long-time turtle and reptile guy who kind of turned us onto him and has been driving on Alligator Alley and seeing them cross. When you see them on the road crossing they're not going to live. And I do think it's legal, take them home, hatch a couple eggs, return the parents, kind of interesting. So not a real poaching, selling fauna classified thing. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay.
I'm not that guy. Couldn't imagine doing that. I don't have any problem selling animals. I don't have any problem raising them but certainly not gathering from the wild and certainly not trying to make a living, off of selling captive. It's just not my thing.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think anyone thought it was. I think, as Anthony said, you're extremely well respected. I think the people that get to know you kind of behind the veil a little bit appreciate that even more because of how candid you can be, and the fact that you're like that with the people you know and you trust, and everyone else still respects you so much. I think that's huge. That you can let loose and still everyone just fully respects you.
I'm behaving right now. I haven't sworn. I haven't been too sarcastic. It's all good.
This is the show to be sarcastic.
No, but I appreciate that because I'm definitely, and I'm going to drag Ralph into that because Ralph's strong too. I'm not for everyone for sure, and I have frustrated some people who thought they could maybe guide me down a way that I wasn't willing to go. I don't want help making this a business. This is not a business. So period. So frustrating as that sounds, I have a cherry head tortoise, which is really, really beautiful. And I'm excited to see her offspring because I'm excited about the process. I'm excited about growing her slow and normal and letting it kind of happen. And I don't feel any pressure to pump it up and, hurry it along and make it go any faster than she's wanting. So I'm pretty clear with that. I'm not, at this point in my life, I'm not willing to get into pressure and peer pressure and all that stuff. I only keep what I like. Anthony's tough on me sometimes, like try this or what about that. And, I stand my ground pretty much, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're not going to be able to peer pressure him into being a goofball. Yeah. Okay.
That wasn't my intention.
So forget it. Forget it, pal.
Sorry. I really apologize.
All right.
There you go. I'm back.
Hi.
So
no more comments. Where's Dan Bun?
Dan Bun's not on there, but Matt Hills is trying to get me to ask.
He's busy.
He's trying to get me to ask,
Matt.
I'm not asking.
Okay. All right. Forget it, Matt.
Not asking.
All right.
So that's the end.
Here we go.
Mailbag?
Matthew Hills. Here we go. Ready? Let's see.
Boxers or briefs?
No. Charlie, what is your favorite cooter variety?
Oh, nice.
That's a lot. Pass. Next.
Oh, thank you, Nate.
They're there. Okay, but yeah, that's it. That's the last question for the mailbag. Thank you so much for participating.
That's a good one.
You don't really win anything. Sorry.
Cooter variety. Oh, I can't touch that.
Well, what's next, man?
All
What
right.
are you not keeping that you want to keep? On a personal level, not for people to see really, but is there anything that you want to keep that you haven't had the opportunity to?
The one thing that I would consider working with, which is controversial, I guess, is bog turtles. I don't know why. I think they're cool. I think they're interesting, but I think they're complicated. I think there's a kind of a vibe about them not being captive bred. So for that reason, I would kind of just sit with it to the side. But no, I don't think we need to grow or add on or do anything. I have a pretty good collection. I like what I have. So no, not really looking for anything different.
That's great. Awesome. I like when people say that, it's like he's saying before, the whole Pokemon mentality to collect them all. When you get to a point, you're like, I like what I have going on right now. I don't need to push it further. I think that's a great point for people to get to. One thing I like is a lot of times when people realize something they worked with for a long time, they're like, maybe I just want to try something else. I don't want to add to it because I don't want to take away from what I'm already doing with these animals. But maybe you move those animals on to somebody else. Like you said, you moved stuff between you and Ralph when it just wasn't working for you. I think that's really amazing. Not many people have that mentality.
I would encourage anyone. I mean, if someone wants to try something or work with something and they think they can do it well, do it. I try not to pass judgment. I have friends that like sulcatas. That's great. They do it well. I've learned the hard way. I've sent a lot of animals up to Anthony that maybe didn't do it as well as I thought here. The flavomarginatas, I had a really cool group of those. And even though it's South Florida, even though it's 80 during the day and 60 at night in the winter, they went down and buried into the mulch and came up. And in the spring, they had some weird, crud on their shells. And I freaked out and was like, no, these are going to a colder climate where they won't have this happen. So I'm not afraid to say I failed. I just try and listen to the animals and do what works here. So I think I've been through a lot of species and I don't think I failed or passed. I just evolved into what works and kind of holding pattern. But I would never say to anyone else, don't do this or, if it's a stupid idea, I want to keep a sulcata in my apartment or in my basement, then no. But I don't think that's our point. I think we should all try and embrace and educate and help out and support each other and not get in the way of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool.
And I love that Charlie was able to answer that question, the original question, in a perfect way about like, you know, I don't need to grow. I don't need, you know, like what everyone needs to hear, but at the same time, raise the eyebrow of federal wildlife officials at the same time. So good job, Charlie.
Well, I'm not a rule breaker, you know, and my permit is delayed because Florida's weird. You know, we have all these rules and non-rules and lots of gray area. And if you call one agent, you get one answer, and then you might call another agent, get another answer, and they don't really talk. But when you actually get someone, it's very helpful. But I do keep everything legal and respect the laws and understand, although there's unintended consequences of some don't really work, but you know, I listen to them. So hopefully my permit will be back on current because my application was delayed based on, you know, you want to be able to bring animals and do things, and they wanted an itinerary. Well, with COVID, I didn't really have an itinerary, so anyway, worked it out at all. It's all good, but you know, you just have to follow the rules and don't make stuff up. So.
I know that you follow all the rules. Obviously, I was joking about the pod. That's all.
Oh, the bot.
It's one of those
you've
things
always
that
said
even
don't
if
get the bug.
like, well, yeah, well, it's just it's so high profile. So like when Reptile Master HK shows up on Instagram showing pictures of his Kinosternon vote eye. That,
Vogely?
like species that was whatever however you pronounce it, that was you know, described in 2018, you know, that and is in Mexico where there's no export. Like even if you bought that from a friend who, like, I guess like you could try to argue that you got it legally because it was like already in the country, but like you're buying an animal that was just smuggled. It's just like the box turtles from Mexico that are really popular right now that everybody wants to buy. Like okay, just know when you're showing, you know, when you're sharing a lot of photos of that stuff, that it's going to raise somebody's eyebrow whether you want it to or not. And what message does that send? You know, you're talking about the story. Like that's something to consider too, you know. But there are people in Florida that have them legally that you know, share photos and stuff like that. But I'm sure that raises an eyebrow too. It's such a high profile native, you know, U.S. native that it's just a tough one. So I just felt like I had to comment on that. Not to say you did.
I appreciate that. No, I know. I appreciate that. But,
just for the listeners,
yeah, it's interesting,
you know, I just want the listeners
when people come in as far as the perception of things, they'll look at the Egyptian tortoises and they'll ask me, "Oh, they came from Egypt?" And I'm like, "No, you know, oh, so you're raising them so you can go back to Egypt?" Well, actually, no. So it's kind of a education and a real conversation about what the point is, and sometimes you're a little bit going in circles with it, but yeah, everything is legal and everything is, you know, the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
I always found that unless somebody actually has an interest in it, they're not going to understand it really. Like no matter how you try to describe like what you're doing for conservation, whether it's that or preservation, people don't grasp it unless it's something they're actually passionate about. That's what I've always found. But
yeah, it's like reading your audience. You know, I can again get a vibe when people come in. Mm-hmm. So,
all right. So with that said, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
When is the first Moorcroft Conservative Foundation Gala?
Conservative. You know, Trump's right down the road. So if you want to go visit him.
Sweet.
I was actually supposed to teach Barron. This is off topic, but maybe 15 years ago, maybe it wasn't that long. I don't know. When Barron was tiny, he was going to come for some riding lessons, and it never really amounted into anything. But thought it was funny that, you know. Anyway, we live in a really weird town. You know, Palm Beach is not that far. Loxahatchee, which is like the Wild West, is not that far. You know, we're really sandwiched in between two different worlds.
I don't think I know anything about Loxahatchee. It's called.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just Wild West. It's getting developed by the day, but it's you know, farms and reptiles and
all right,
awesome.
Just
It's
wild
not very
stuff out there.
polished. Yeah, it's not very
Okay.
polished at all. Where you think Palm Beach is really, quite polished.
Yeah, I don't really know Florida at all, but just what I saw in Dexter, I don't know.
If you can
All
never
right.
get out of Connecticut, you need to visit.
Yeah, no,
I'm
eventually.
embarrassed for you.
You should be embarrassed for me. No, I've traveled a lot. I just I think I've spent like a week in Stewart, Florida, and that's really been it. And I don't
That's
know where
not
that is
bad.
in relation to anything. So
It's like an hour, maybe a little more than an hour north of me.
gotcha.
Decent.
Yeah, I had a buddy there. Went skateboarding. It was fun. But Anthony, are you able to get your video back on? What are you thinking, bud? Can we see the pond?
No, we don't want to do that.
Okay.
Pond is green. I think
Sorry?
when my video goes on, you can't really hear. Yeah.
Well, you're working right
That's
now. You're
really
moving.
close. That's a forehead shot.
That's a
Don't
5
you
head
dare.
shot.
That's
Okay.
because I was turning off the Vic camera. I thought it was off. Okay. Jeez. Guys are such sticklers. You act like I pick on people on this show all the time, and now it's my turn to.
You're the
I
sweetest
know
guy
you're
regularly.
going very easy on me. I'm aware of this.
I love you.
Oh, man.
Sorry. This cord. I can't get any closer.
No, you're good. Don't worry about it. So it's 8:15. Before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say to anyone that's watching or that's going to be watching? Anything you want to last words of wisdom, or how can they donate
I'm
to you
boring.
if they want to?
There's a website.
You're anything but boring, Charlie.
I think I'm boring. I'm just weird and boring. Anyway, Instagram, Moorcroft Conservation. I'm on separately, Charlie Moorcroft. Facebook, there's a website, which I think is pretty cool. Moorcroftconservation.org, I believe. Anyway, I don't think it's one of those weird ones where if you go to the wrong one, an accident, something bad happens. Not yet. So I think you can find it and navigate to the right one. But mostly I'm just having a good time with it. It adds balance to kind of a hectic world, and it's fun, and it's great to have people come and talk and learn. And even at the horse shows, we have different kind of conversations now. With my friends and with family and with people, acquaintances and frenemies, all that. So it's all really positive, amazing stuff. And it was a bit of a risk to kind of expose that part and expose our house to people, but it's totally worth it. So I would love other people to do it and share. And I had a great time with Greg doing the YouTube. I wish it was Anthony. Kenan came and he did a really, really good job. I was a little bit in my shell and uncomfortable, and it was a little weird. And Fred came, and he, of course, is such a great icebreaker. I love him. And at the end of it, a lot of people were aware of it and saw it. So
yeah,
I think it's great. I'm honored and totally proud to be part of this podcast, and I hope it works out. I hope it's interesting, but no, it's all good.
Awesome. Well, I don't have anything else, Charlie. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. I really appreciate your answers to everything candidly, and you behaved yourself. Kind of wish you didn't a little bit, but I get why. Some public figures today.
Maybe I'll come back and
yeah, come on for a bros night.
I'm not really that guy,
Yeah.
So,
Charlie, I love you.
So Anthony, I don't know if you have anything else. If not, then I have one more thing.
No, you can go ahead. I just said, Charlie, I love you, and I'm so happy you're here. Everyone, thanks for putting up with me not being on video, although that's probably for the best. Maybe we figured something out here that we need to make a theme that maybe Anthony has heard but not seen. That could work. Definitely not the. I'm definitely not the eye candy that we need on the show. So, Kevin, you're looking very handsome today. I knew it too,
Thanks.
Kevin. You showed it. You sent us a picture, a selfie earlier, poolside with your shirt off, and I'm like, Kevin's looking kind of good right now. Look like you're training to become a cage fighter.
Did you say
dad
bod?
Dad bod, Yeah, it's I'm in a constant state of sucking in these days, which is a lot of fun.
You're looking good, man. This is working. This is working for me. Yeah, I can stay in the background. Steve, maybe you and I could both be producers, and we could just let Kevin do his thing, and he could have his shirt off.
No. It's Chris. It's definitely Chris, not me. I'm
Well,
the keyboard
definitely
guy.
Chris,
I'm stepping up
But
because
I'm
you don't have
saying-
a face tonight.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
you could be like
Dan Bunn.
background.
Dan Bunn finally shows up.
Turtle Heartthrob too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why
hello,
am I
Dan
late?
Bunn.
Yeah, Dan Bunn, you're coming on the show
Better
in the
late
next
than
couple
never.
months.
Yeah.
You better bring it.
Dan Bunn, this is 3 hours past my bedtime. Okay, so
Dan Bunn's way more entertaining, way more fun. He's everything I'm not. That guy kind of is. So there you go, Dan
I can't wait
Bunn.
to go on his podcast as a guest.
Oh.
It doesn't exist yet, but that's going to be fun.
He does his little mini Instagram lives. You know, there's like little podcasts. I think.
Oh, I
usually
don't
pop on
watch.
for like a minute and a half at a time. Then I'm like, I gotta go. Actually, sorry, but
That's
I'm always
too
interested
much.
real quick.
That's
So the
too
last thing
much.
I wanted to go over, guys, was the fact that our bonfire is still going for our 10-year anniversary shirts. I believe it's June 10th is our actual 10-year anniversary. Is that right,
That's
Steve?
right.
Yep.
June 10th.
Getting the shake there. So awesome. June 10th. That's a couple days away. So we will drop a
Take
link
the
in the
shirt
chat.
off.
I'm going to stand up. Anthony wants me to take my shirt off, and that's not happening.
Yeah,
So,
all right.
10, be a turtle hero. That's our slogan. We're sticking to it. Yeah, so check that out. Also, tomorrow, either late tonight or tomorrow, we will be having our new tenure site dropping. So check it out, the www.theturtleroom.org. Steve's literally punching buttons right now to finish up.
That's right.
Final touches, and we're getting going.
Yeah, I actually I just took down the under construction page, and of course, as always, there's always something that never quite works as you expect it to once it goes live. So I have to figure out that minor detail because it was working fine on the sandbox in the development area. But hey, it's up. Not a brand new design. The biggest thing is modernization, both in the design and just the technology that's running everything. We're going to continue building out some of the sections you're familiar with. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be still making some updates to certain areas of the website. But the project pages and the species profiles have been tweaked. Beautiful brand new homepage and about page where you get all the information about the Turtle Room as well. Really stoked about how it looks. If you do find something that doesn't work, please let me know, and we'll try to get them fixed.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well,
Sounds
with
like
that,
a
Charlie,
plan.
thank you so much for joining, man. I really, really appreciate it. I'm glad I got a chance to actually talk to you face to face. I'm sorry Anthony wasn't able to
Likewise.
show you his face,
It's okay. We've all seen him.
Yeah, most
We've
days,
seen him. We've heard him. Plenty of Anthony. Next.
Did you know that he can't dunk?
He can't.
Oh.
That's not a dunk when you're taller than the hoop. I mean,
It's true. Yeah.
Mythbusters already busted that one, Kevin.
maybe he should lose the
No.
Crocs and dunking. I don't think that's
Yeah.
a thing. So anyway, thank you all so much for having me. I had a good time actually. And,
Thanks for fighting through the tech, Charlie. We appreciate
Hey,
it.
listen,
Yeah. He said
for everybody
actually.
that's watching, this took us like years to get Charlie on. Every time it was like, nope, not doing it. Nope. Finally, he stepped up, and it worked out well, man. This was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, all right, guys.
So-
Have a great evening. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next month for our 79th show.
Woo!
I don't know
Oh
what
my
number what
God.
day it falls on, but it looks like July 5th.
Cool.
Oh my gosh. Everyone's gonna be hungover. Nobody's gonna watch.
Yeah. Don't be too hungover. I'm not getting on.
It's a Monday night. Everybody will be back to normal. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
All
Bye.
right. Bye, guys.
Say that.